Alright, what you've just seen is what I'm going to be showing you how to make today. It's something I recently just learned how to do, and I didn't see a ton of videos on how to do it for Final Cut Pro, so I figured I'd make one myself. What you're going to need is not just Final Cut Pro, but for this you're going to need Apple Motion as well. Apple Motion is not a free application. I paid $50 for it, which really isn't that bad. So once you get the project browser, like this open menu page open, you're going to click on Final Cut Title. Up here in the top right, preset frame rate duration. Typically I do my videos at just under 24 frames per second, and at 1080p. Now the typical, you can go under here and do either frames, time code, or seconds. You're going to want to go to seconds. Duration is about 5 seconds is pretty good, pretty normal for a title. So let's stick with that, and then click open. Cool. Alright, so you get this initial untitled everything, empty project to start with. What you're going to do first, come up here to type text here, highlight that, and just delete that. You don't need that. And then go up to this little arrow here next to group, click that just to enclose everything. And then you're going to right click, new group. You're going to want to name that first group. Actually, I mean, you can name it whatever you want, but to keep it nice and simple, we'll name it text, and then right click again, and we'll change this one to mask. So just to recap, you are right clicking twice, creating two new groups named text and mask. We're going to uncheck right here, group, and then what we're going to do is go click on text, and come right over here to the little T for text. Click on that. You want to create a nice big open space. Well, it depends. If you want the writing on your video to be smaller, you create a smaller one. I like when it takes up most of the screen, so I'm going to create a larger one. And then just write whatever you're trying to write in there. So I'm going to do Positano again, because that's where the video you saw in the beginning was taken. I have size. We're just going to up the size, and I'm going to put that right in the middle. I want that to be in the center. Oh, if you want this little box, by the way, just come up to Window, and it's going to say Show HUD. So click on Show HUD, and you'll have that. I already have it out, so it says Hide HUD. And then you get this little window right here. And I think you can also do it all from the inspector. Yeah, you can get most of it from inspector if you do that there, but I like using the little HUD because I can move it around, put it wherever I want. For here, for example. Alright, so what you're going to do next is come up here to mask, and you're going to highlight that. Very important that you highlight that. And then you're going to come down to this little paintbrush down here and click on that. Now you're going to get this little circle. What you want to do is take the little circle, and for whatever writing that you have, you're going to want to make sure that it's kind of similar to the size. Now this one's a bit bigger, because if you're going over it to do the writing, say I come up here, now you're going to get that little part of the P, and you're going to get that little part of the P on the outsides. So what you want to do is change the pixel length. Maybe 25 will be good. 25 is pretty decent. I'm going to have a steady hand if I want to do that, so I'm going to put it up to maybe like 27. 27 should be good. Find like the most width, and then make sure that it can cover that, no problem. So the P is pretty big here. Alright, so yeah, this should be good. And this write-on effect works best with script writing, I feel. I mean, you could do it with any writing. I've done it with others, but I feel that it looks the best with script writing. So keep that in mind when you're finding a title to do this with. Alright, so now that we have mask clicked on, we clicked on our paintbrush, we have this going, you're going to have to click and drag as you're going across. And you don't want to come, as soon as you release, it's going to create a thing, so you don't want to release the entire time. So I'm going to start down here, probably go up the P, back down and around, and then trace the cursive with the rest of it. And just be careful to stay in, but I'll show you a way to fix it if you need to later on. So let's start right down here. So I'm going to click and drag on up. You see that little green line, which is showing you where you are. So back down, back up and around, making sure I'm getting everything. You want to go at a pretty smooth rate. I'll show you why after. Continue to hold. Come down here, up and around. I'm probably going to get a little piece of the, well, I'm definitely going to get a little piece of the outside of that O, but hopefully it's not too noticeable. And then let's stay on the inside of this S, come up, and then we're back up here. We're up, back down, up the T, back down. Now notice I didn't do the top of the T and the top of the I just yet, and I'll show you why. I'm going to come back down around, up, staying on the side, back down, up. I'm running out of room on my mouse pad right now, but that's okay. Lift and drag, back up, down, up. And then from here, I'm going to continue to hold, come all the way back around, dot the I, and cross the T. And then I can let go right there. Now what you're going to have is if you come down here and drag across, look at that, it just has everything you just did. And you can come right to the end and see that it got across everything. So let's skip right to the end here and notice how there's a couple little pieces of white part in there. If you have that, if you are terrible at drawing on a computer like I am, you're going to want to come right here over to this little arrow, click on that, and click Edit Points. Now you'll see that it created a bunch of points while you were doing that. So just go over to where there's little white parts and just cover that up. Go right here, we'll cover that up. Make it nice and easy. The little one right there, we'll cover that. Top, it's probably not a good one. Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. I think I got all of the parts that were covered. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to click on this and go back to the transform tool. And so, again, you can see that the red completely covers everything as you're going through it. This is why I said script works the best, because it goes through as if it was writing it directly on, which I think looks great. When you're done with that, let's go right here. So click on the right on, and you get a couple of options. So for speed, it says recorded right now. That's what's highlighted. So that means when it writes on, it's going to do it at the speed it was recorded, which for me was pretty slow because I was trying to take my time and do it correctly. So what I like to do is go to constant. And what the program does is it creates just a constant motion for you. So let's see that go. See how it goes nice and smooth in a constant motion? Yes, I like that. Personally, I don't want the thing to take the entire 5 seconds to write that on. So what you're going to do is come to the right on part here, and we're just going to click and drag that to about, if this is a 5-second clip, that's about 2.5. Maybe I want that at about 2 seconds. Let's say that's 2 seconds. So let's bring this back to the front of the timeline, and I want that to write that on pretty quickly in about 2 seconds, and then be visible for the next 3 seconds. Maybe a little bit longer. That seemed to be a little bit quick. Let's check that out. Yeah, that seems nice. I like that. And then you have the rest of the almost 3 seconds of being able to see the title. Back over here on the HUD where I clicked on speed and constant, you see you have a whole bunch of different options. Recorded was the first one. Constant is the one that I typically like to use, but you could do like ease out, which will make it, ease in, which will make it slow in the beginning and then speed up for the rest of it. Ease out, which is fast in the beginning and slow towards the end. And you could just mess around with that, whichever you prefer. But like I said, I prefer constant. So what you're gonna do next is come right over here to text, click on that down here on the bottom, right click, add image mask. And then what you're gonna wanna do is come up here to mask, drag it into this square. All right, perfect. So we have it in that square, and notice how the text went away over here. So let's bring it back and just click on the space bar. Nice, I like that. Perfect. So what the image mask basically did was take off the mask, and so that it just writes on the way that you have it. Perfect. Beautiful. I love it. All right, so move this back over here. From here, you're basically done. So what you want to do, let's come back up here. We can hide the pink throat and the right on. We can hide this stuff. You want to turn your group back on. We want that title background so that we could use that in Final Cut. Let's just test it one more time with the title background. Awesome. All right, perfect. So now you could just come up to the top, File, Save As. For theme, you can keep that as none. For category, you could put it in whatever you want. I created a new category called Right On Title, so that every time I do this, I have my own folder inside of Final Cut that has this. For template name, let's call it Right On Positano. Awesome. And then publish. It's going to take a second to do the media really quick. And then let's close this down, come back into Final Cut. All right, so this is that shot you saw from the beginning. What I'm going to do is come over to titles, and you can drop down that screen. Right On Title is that folder I created, like I told you, and here's a couple that I've made already. So Right On Positano, that's the one that we just created. I'm going to put that somewhere in the middle here. And then we're starting. And that's just going to write Positano right in the center there. Awesome. Perfect. And that's a 5-second title. So like I said, you get that first 2 seconds of writing, and then you get the other 3 seconds to view it. So again, you can make it as long as you want. You can do 8 seconds, 10 seconds, however long you prefer for that title to be up there. All right, so that's basically it. That's everything for the Right On Title text effect. Again, see right here how I have the Positano right in the center. Now, if you wanted this to be bigger when we were in motion, you could have just taken the transform tool and made it much, much bigger. Or as large as you want, so that it could take up more of the screen if you prefer, or if you want it to take up less of the screen, you can do that as well. It all depends on how large you make it when you're doing that process in motion. That's basically it, guys. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be sure to answer you. Other than that, have a good one.